It blasts off at the speed of light.
Surrender now or prepare to fight.
That's right.
Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring you a video on the best Teostra weapons guide for all weapon types. This video analyzes the weapons of the second Elder Dragon of Monster Hunter Now. First was Kushala, and now we have Teostra. And the Teostra weapons are the first blast weapons in the game. They will also likely be the strongest blast weapons as they are an Elder Dragon weapon. Which is kind of ironic. If you're going to introduce blast, we're doing it big by introducing an Elder Dragon first with blast element versus everyone else. But that's really cool. And the only exception is the Light Bowgun, which is the fire elemental. So the Light Bowgun isn't blast, it's fire. But just how good are they really? Let's find out. First, we're going to start off with the list of Teostra weapons. For the sword and shield, you have Teostra Spada. For the great sword, you have Teostra's Blade. For the long sword, you have the Imperial Saber. That's a super cool name, by the way. For the hammer, you have the Teostra Cratermaker, which is also a cool name. For the bow, we have the Bow of Hope and Valor. That's a really fancy name. For the lance, you have the Teostra's Howl. For the Light Bowgun, you have the Teostra's Dart. And for the Charge Blade, you have Teostra's Striker. Next up, we have the Teostra weapons for stats. Now, all Teostra weapons will start at grade 6. They have the blast element, unless they are the Light Bowgun, which is a fire element weapon. The base raw attack is 615, with the base elemental attack at 440. And their base affinity is at 0%. Starting out, the Teostra weapons will have a pretty high elemental attack. The raw value will be high, a lot higher when it's maxed out. So it's going to be really high when it's maxed out, while it will still have an elemental value because 440 is still high, but at maxed out, it's going to be really high. But what are the materials you need to forge the Teostra weapons? Well, here's the cost and the forge requirements. You need 8 Fire Dragon Scales, which are rarity 1, 4 Elder Dragon Bloods, which are rarity 4, 2 Teostra Tails, which are rarity 5, and 1 Weapon Refining Parts, which are rarity 3, along with 3,000 Zenny. But what about at grade 10.5 max? Well, we're going to start off with the stats for the Teostra weapons at grade 10.5 max. Its element is blast, but again, unless it is the Light Bowgun, which is fire. Its max raw attack will be 2,103, while its max elemental attack will be 718. And its max affinity is 0%. Once maxed out, the Teostra weapons will have high raw attack and high elemental attack. So high elemental, like we're going to see the comparison shortly, it's like maxes out like 500. Now the next cap is 718, which is the Teostra weapons. But of course, you need a lot of materials to upgrade Teostra weapons to max 10.5. As you see here, Teostra has its own rarity 6 material, the Teostra Horn. And Teostra weapons, they require a whole lot of other materials to max out its weapons. In addition, you'll need 25 weapon refining parts and 420,000 Zenny. Whoever made this number for this needs a raise. But we have to remember, Teostra is only an Elder Dragon interceptions, so it's going to take a lot of time and resources to max out its weapons. From personal experience, assuming you're doubling your rarity 6 materials, you can achieve a 10.5 max Elder Dragon weapon in 200 to 220 Teostra Elder Dragon interceptions. Or earlier if you are really lucky. That's why it blows my mind when some people try to give advice on Elder Dragon interception weapons. Like, they are super expensive and they take a whole lot of time to max out. Why are you giving advice when you don't have a single 10.5 Elder Dragon weapon maxed out? You don't have the drive and resolve, you obviously haven't spent the resources, so how can you tell what it actually is and how expensive it is and how difficult it is? But if you do have that drive and resolve, congratulations, because here are the Teostra weapons equipment skills information, and you will get rewarded with a weapon with 2 skills. So Teostra weapons have 2 equipment skills. You unlock one when you forge a Teostra weapon, and another at grade 8. First, you have Hunter's Unity, which is grade 6. When you forge it, it starts off at grade 6, so you'll get this skill right away. This increases damage by 0, 3, 6, and 9% when there are 1, 2, 3, 4 players with this skill in the team. So depending on how many players you have in your lobby or your group hunt, with the Hunter's Unity skill, that's how it will scale. In addition, you also have Heroics, which you get at grade 8, which increases attack power by 20% when your health drops to 29% or lower. Now that you know what they are, here's the review of these equipment skills. So here's the thing about Hunter's Unity. It's an okay equipment skill. It requires 4 players to use it at full power. It's kind of funny because when, some people are like, yay, it's so great. No, it's not, because you have no idea what you're talking about. The problem is 9% isn't a lot unless the group's weapons grades are high. So unless it's like 10.1 to 10.5, basically if it's grade 10 plus, Hunter's Unity isn't great. Because if you don't have a high enough grade or max Elder Dragon weapon, you're better off using another weapon with high values. 9% on something that is 1,000 is way less than 9% on something, or not having any 9% boost on something that is like 1,500. That's not how it maths. I'm terrible at math, and I know that's not how it maths. This is because if you have experience as an analyst in this game, you know that percentages are only great after your raw and elemental value is high. If it's not high, 9% isn't gonna matter. And along with this, Heroics is a super situational skill. It's not great for the effort it takes to build an Elder Dragon weapon. You have to go below 30%. That's what I mean by situational skill. Anything that's conditional and requires activation, it's situational. So unless you have guts, you're probably not going to go below 29% if you get hit by an Elder Dragon. You're probably going to die, revive, and you will be above it. So again, Heroics, not really great for an Elder Dragon weapon. Now that we reviewed the equipment skill, how about the damage? Gonna start off with melee. And here are the elemental status monster types, melee damage comparison. So here we're going to take a look at all the elemental status monster types as of Dancing in the Tempest. In other words, they inflict status buildup. As we see per the data, the Teostra weapons have the highest elemental status buildup out of all the elemental status buildup weapons. So you see all these right here? We have all the numbers. As far as elemental, it has a whooping 718. The next highest after that is the Rothian weapons, which have 516. So this matters a lot in terms of inflicting your status. However, there isn't a huge difference in terms of raw damage value. In fact, Teostra has the same attack values as Pink Rothian and Nightshade Palumu. I kinda wish it was a little higher. Being neck and neck as far as raw damage with subspecies, that's kind of bad. At least it does have a high elemental attack value. It can't get much worse, right? Well, those are melee weapons. How about the light bowgun? So the light bowgun is fire. So we're going to compare the Teostra light bowgun to all of the other fire elemental monster types of light bowguns as of Dancing in the Tempest. And holy Shara Ishvalda, it is the worst fire light bowgun in the game. As you see per the data, Teostra light bowgun, worst fire light bowgun in the game. This is due to the low elemental value of the Teostra weapons as an elemental attack weapon. In addition, there's more things that affect its damage, but we're going to go into that shortly. And here is the data I was talking about. Here we have the Teostra Light Bowgun Ammo set versus the rest of them. And the problem with the Teostra ammo set, it's pretty terrible. If you take a look at it, you got some great recoil, your flaming ammo's low, your spread fire ammo's average, and your sticky fire ammo, it's very high. That's a problem, it's very high. In addition, if you take a look to the right, your reload speeds are terrible. It's normal for flaming ammo, that's normal to begin with, but you have very slow reload for your spread and very slow reload for your fire sticky ammo. That is absolutely terrible. The thing is, the lower recoil values are offset by high reload times even if you had reload speed level 3. So even if you had reload speed level 3, it would still only go up to slow, which is not great. And and its equipment skills just don't make up for how terrible it is. In other words, if you are a light bowgun main, do not build the Teostra Light Bowgun. It is bad, it is terrible. It deserves to blast away and blast off into the Shadow Realm because it really is that bad. Rest in peace to Rachel Lillis. Thank you for making my childhood awesome. So, speaking of awesome, we have the light bowgun. How about the bow? So here we have the elemental status monster types for bows comparison. So we're going to take a look at all the elemental status monster types that's currently in Monster Hunter now. And as we see per the data, the Teostra bow classifies as a super weapon, thanks to having rapid level 4 at charge level 3 at 2 blinks. Super weapons, per my definition, are something that is more powerful than other weapons and has a special mechanic to it. For example, the, again, rapid level 4 at charge level 3. With this, the Teostra bow also has the highest status build-up value of any current elemental status weapon in the game. So, you heard me mention earlier, Rothian is 516. That used to be the highest. The newest highest is Teostra weapons, which have 718 blast element value. However, there are a few cons when it comes to the Teostra bow. It has the weakest shot type with rapid, and its base raw damage doesn't actually stand out. It is literally the same as Nightshade Palumu. Nightshade Palumu and Teostra both max out at 2,103. So it doesn't stand out, and rapid again is the weakest shot type for the bow. And we already know, they already told us this, blast does fixed damage. If it's a fixed damage, like a percentile, unless it's a huge amount, so it has to be a lot of damage for it to stand out. Otherwise, the Teostra bow isn't likely going to be super overpowered. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be really powerful, and it's still going to be a super weapon. But is it going to own up to the other super weapons, like Black Diablos bow / Sarah Coilbender, or the Kushala Deora bow, and the Deora Sagittari? That's for another video. In closing, hopefully this guide helps you decide what Teostra weapon you want to invest in. The Teostra weapons look cool, don't get me wrong, but they are an Elder Dragon weapon, so it's going to take a lot of time and resources to max them out. I have a 10-5 Elder Dragon weapon. It took a long time, a lot of money, and a lot of resources. But the thing about the Teostra weapons though is, judging from the data I know so far, these weapons aren't going to be great even with blasts, unless it's the bow. So unless it's the bow, everything else not going to be great as far as weapon rise. This is because blast must do an incredible amount of damage. It needs to do an incredible amount of damage to make up for that low raw value. Now, don't get me wrong though, raw value isn't low per se, it just doesn't stand out in comparison to a lot of other weapons. In addition, blast damage does not scale, it's fixed. So it's not like poison where it scales with the monster's HP, it's going to be fixed. So we'll find that out later, but I can tell you at first glance, it's not going to be great. Please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Hopefully y'all are excited for Teostra to come into the field, and I can't wait to make all that content for that as well. Good luck on your grinds, good luck on your Elder Dragon interception drops, and I will see y'all on the next video.